Hello there everyone, Ashnflash here, and welcome on into my spoiler review for Inside Out 2. I meant to get this video out earlier this weekend, but there was a bit of a scare with my little dog, but she's all good now. Anyways, here I am. I'm ready to talk about this, and there's a lot to go through. There are time codes if you want to hop around to the different chapters if you don't know how these videos work. We do non-spoilers, spoilers, and then we talk about LEGO, how they did, and maybe what they could have done differently. So let's go ahead and let's get started with non-spoilers. So I think that honestly, as a sequel, it was really good. I don't know if it's necessarily a perfect film in my opinion. There was one moment that I felt it went on for a little too long and sort of just, I don't know how well the comedy hit there, but I think that, you know, there's a lot of really great concepts. I think that they really expanded upon the lore of this, even if it is a little contradicting to like maybe some of the stuff that we saw from the first film. Like when we would see, you know, the different emotions inside of the heads of the parents and other characters and teachers and different things. Well, there were none of the other emotions when they grow up. And that sort of is changed. At least you can see that from the trailers, like anxiety appears, but none of the other ones appear. So maybe they go away. I mean, do embarrassment and envy and ennui, does that ever go away? Boredom? I don't know, but interesting thoughts, and maybe they'll explore that in future films, which I have no doubt we will get at least another third one, since this is like the biggest animated opening globally of all time, which is not something I really expected for this film. Like, I was really excited, and obviously with the set and everything I designed, but this is really surprising, both in terms of making a sequel that's really beloved, I think, widely. I think Incredibles 2 was a little, you know, bit of a mixed bag, but people were really excited about it. Toy Story 4 as well. Like, I love Toy Story, but I don't really like that film. And then obviously all of the individual movies that have come out have been sort of either mediocrely accepted or just not liked. So this is a really big success, I think, for Pixar and Disney, so I'm pretty happy about that. I thought that going into the movie, because I had seen so many trailers and behind the scenes things, that I was scared that I had already seen everything, but there was a lot to be surprised by, I think, that they did, so that was pretty great too. So I don't know, I don't really want to beat around the bush anymore. Let's just jump into spoilers. It was a pretty stressful movie, I think. At least that's what I felt. I know that people have been making jokes about how to make a successful animated film and you just have someone having a panic attack. But legitimately, though, I think that that depiction was really interesting. So sort of like in the first one, where all of the islands were crumbling and her sense of self was gone because she had moved to this new place and she didn't know who she was anymore without all those things. This was really interesting, where it was now her sense of self, like her morals and different things, and just having that questioned, I think was really deep. And just the effects of anxiety, of always thinking ahead and always freaking out about what could happen here, and maybe, you know, things don't go as planned, no matter, you know, anxieties obviously wanting the best for Riley at the end of the day, but that didn't wind up happening. And I think that that was just really impactful. I really was surprised that every new emotion had their own moment, which I was really happy by. Obviously, anxiety being the front and center one, but for Envy, like, there were so many just fun, cute little moments with Envy. I think she's probably my favorite out of the four. But even with Embarrassment, like, I really didn't expect him to get that much play. I love the bond with Sadness. That was so great. Even before, like, they were sort of working together, I just loved how at one moment, like, Riley got embarrassed, so he's lying on the console, and then he couldn't reach the whole thing, and Sadness was like, I got you, big guy. I was like, this is so darn cute to create that memory together, and, like, they just go hand in hand. I thought was really great. Ennui was really one that they just sort of kept, not secret in the trailers, but just Ennui was there. And it's interesting how much play they had, because you look at, like, the phone, you see that Ennui was, like, texting or doing whatever, just bored on the couch in the trailers. But the fact that it was, like, a mobile version of the console, I really love that. That was really cool, and just how that sort of played into the story. I think that was a really interesting concept. Ennui's probably the one who got the least amount of play. Speaking of new emotions, Nostalgia was really great, too. And I'm just so curious, like, she said, okay, I'll just be downstairs if you need me. So, like, what other emotions are sort of hanging out downstairs? Do they know each other? Anxiety obviously said something along the lines of, like, you know, we were hoping to make the best impression or whatever. So she knew that, that they were coming up together. So I don't know, just really interesting. I'm interested to see, like, what other emotions and different things we could see down the line. I'll talk about that at the end. But I also really loved, because I had been watching Inside Out so many times and different clips throughout it to work on my project, it was interesting to see just the sort of group dynamic that we had here, because last time we had discussed anger and fear stay behind at headquarters, and Joy and Sadness went off on their own little adventure. This time, Sadness went up to headquarters by herself and worked together with embarrassment and different things, but then it was cool to see the three that were left behind at in the first movie sort of go on this adventure with Joy, and Joy show them around. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it really hit me when they were at the back of the mine standing on top of all the memories. I was like, oh, we've never really seen them go on this adventure, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So I thought that group dynamic was a lot of fun. The part that I was talking about earlier that sort of dragged down, I like the concept of Bluefy and Pouchy. That bit just went on for a smidge too long. I really enjoyed Lance. I thought that was great. The deep dark secret. The idea of this vault, that they have all of these different things locked up that will be unlocked at certain ages, I thought was a really cool concept. And yeah, again, I'm interested to see, like, where the future of this goes. In terms of Riley and her real life experience that she went through this time, I don't think that it necessarily hits home as much as the first one, at least when it came to the sports stuff, you know, of making the team and different things like that. Can't necessarily connect with everyone. I think the part that can is the fact that, you know, when you move on from middle school to high school, that your friends may not be sticking around. You know, they go different places, and to be honest, I mean, I only speak to one person from high school anyways, so I think that's also just really interesting. Just, you know, at that time in your life, like, those friends that you have in elementary, middle school, and high school, like, they're just so important and impactful. Like, you just, you know, like, if anything ever happened, like, it's just the end of the world. And now it's like, well, how many people do I actually talk to from there? So I think that's really interesting. That, again, that was another part that I thought was really well done, of just Riley, just, you know, she had all these plans of maybe them being on the hockey team next year and different things. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. And analyzing their facial expressions and stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that they added. I think was very, very good. I don't know if it was me, but some of the stuff felt a little bit more heavy-handed, like in your face, of a brainstorm. We are literally bottled emotions and different things like that. Like, I felt like it wasn't leaving enough room for us to put this stuff together. Versus compare that to something subtle, like when Anxiety arrives, she's got all those bags because she comes with a lot of baggage. See, like, that's something subtle that I don't think we really needed pointed out, if that makes any sense. I also appreciated a bunch of the different Easter eggs and references that they snuck in, like Bing Bong having like a little paper mache little statue with the wagon in Joy's little nook in the bedroom, and then also like the pizza plant truck was in that room. You had Lenny, the binoculars from Toy Story, being used. I thought that was really great too. So I enjoyed a bunch of the different references. Anyways, Inside Out 3, what could they do? I think, first of all, we're gonna see a brand new headquarters. I think that's, like, the whole film, it was rubble. Like, even at the end, I'm pretty sure when they installed, like, Anxiety's chair and different things, like, it was still under construction, and we never fully saw. I think they changed the rails to gold. You could see some of it being constructed. So I think that's interesting to see, like, what her sort of mind is gonna look like. In terms of other emotions, I don't know how many more you create. I'm not too sure. The only sort of life thing that I think that they could continue to do and explore is probably, you know, maybe when she's older, you know, have like a love story. But I also think, and Pixar obviously does really well tugging at your heartstrings, but a story about loss I think would be really interesting. And maybe the new emotion could be grief. Like, I mean, anxiety and fear, they're already so similar. So grief and sadness, you know, I don't really mind them being sort of similar, if that makes any sense. But regardless, I think that this core group of emotions could be really well used in future stories, and I have no doubt that we're going to get another one of these, just given how well that this is doing. I hope that it's not too soon. Like, I do want a bit more time to go by. I think that's what really made like something like Toy Story 3 just that much more impactful, was how long we waited for this. And maybe that's what's happening here. Like, it was almost 10 years. So, you know, I think that they have a lot to do here for sure. So I'm very excited about that. All right, Lego talk. We obviously reviewed the One Inside Out set, and it's fine for what it is. I like the concept of the cubes being able to, you know, have children express their emotions. But in terms of a set for everyone, it's just not what I want. And I think that even when I was designing, obviously, my idea submission that they've since rejected, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link the video here on the screen now. But with that original set, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's just all these pinks and corals and oranges, and I'm like, none of this is in the headquarters. And that just also really bothered me as well. And I wish I talked about that in the original review. The brickheads, I really love. Like, I'm a sucker for brickheads. I do want the rest of the emotions. I think they would be a lot of fun to get, even though I think that those three are sort of the main characters, so I think they did a good job. But yeah, when it comes to the set that I designed, obviously I won't talk about the whole thing because I did that whole separate video, but I think a set like this would be really great. I don't think it necessarily needs to be this big. This was sort of my idea for an anniversary set for 10 years next year, but I still think that something like this, a larger headquarters with all the emotions, would be really great. And I do want to resubmit this, obviously, now having seen the sequel, and I'll talk about it here and just rattle off a bunch of things. Like, you know, there's so much I could add, obviously all the emotions, but there's the chair for anxiety. Riley's core self would have to be added. That little table that popped up for discuss to sort of scan their emotions and everything. Like, there's a lot that I could add from the sequel, which would sort of fill out the space as well, I think, which would help. I've got a lot of ideas for this, so I'm excited. Hopefully next year I'll be able to do this. Other than more brickheads and an actual headquarters, I'm really not too sure what else they could do. If you have any ideas, I'd leave them down below because I'd love to hear them. But anyways, be sure to subscribe, turn the bell notifications so you don't miss out on future potential Disney set news and movie reviews and different things like that. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you all in the next one.